What is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Listen podcast. My guest today, another content creator from Toronto who, this guy is the king of hockey comedy. He's absolutely hilarious. It's my boy, Erik Nagy. How you doing, buddy?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm great. I'm, as I said, bouncing off the walls right now.
Yeah.
It's an honor to be here. I remember a couple of years ago, I was just doom scrolling your videos, laughing my ass off, and look at us now, filming
It's crazy,
the
man.
Listen podcast. Can I do need a favor out of you.
Yeah.
Can you say listen as Uncle Yousef?
I got you. Listen. That's why you're the first person to ask. Everyone wanted that.
Yes, dude.
Everyone wanted that,
I
man.
love it, dude. I think it's a great podcast name too because it ties right into your brand.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely, man. You've been killing it. I don't know. I'm trying to think the first time I saw your content, but just like you remind me of like 50% of the guys I went to high school with. So like my high school was like 50% like hockey boys.
Yep.
And 50% like basketball guys. Honestly, really, it was 50% white guys, 50% black guys.
Yeah.
And I was kind of in the middle. Like I had friends on both sides, but everyone got along. But I got a little bit of both accents. I did the DK accent and getting kind of the Toronto man. But growing up, man, the hockey accent, it's. Do you even call it a hockey accent, a Canadian accent?
I don't know. I find it so broad. It's so general. It could pass as a hockey accent. It could pass as a Canadian accent. I find with the Canadian accent, we tend to make letters a little bit longer. We like to stretch out the sentences, whereas with hockey, it's either you're shortening something or you're putting like ski at the end of it, or you just say bud more. You know, it's a fine line, but I think there's a couple telltale differences.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask. What would my hockey name be?
Ooh, so your full name? Give me your full name.
Yeah, Jesse Georgie.
You don't have a middle name? No, nothing.
I do. My middle name is it's spelled Wadi, but it's pronounced Wadia.
Ooh, boy.
Waddy buddy.
Wads buddy. How are you? How's the sister? I don't know. I'd probably stick with JJ, J-Show, J-Dog, Jimmer. I don't know. I could just throw them out all day, buddy. We had a couple more of these in you, and I'm going to call you something you've never been called before.
So I wanted to ask you, where did the idea of like creating hockey content come to you?
So I started in 2019, dude. So I was an OG of like kind of TikTok, I guess. So funny enough, I started off making fun of people who were on the platform, and then I was just like, you know what? Let me just start making videos. And I eventually started making them, and then I made my first hockey video. It was me just looking at myself in the mirror, holding my phone, and just saying hockey chirps to myself. Right. And then that one did like 100K. I was like, oh, I kind of like this feeling, you know? And then
that wasn't your first video though.
That wasn't my first video.
Okay.
That was like my 20th, my 25th until I finally hit it big. And I was like, you know what? I love hockey. Comes pretty easy to me. Let me keep on doing this. And eventually just stuck with it, grew a little bit of an audience, stopped for a while. Excuse me, it's a Heineken's, ladies and gentlemen. That's a dangerous thing about carbonated drinks. They sneak up on you. But then I just stuck with it, and it turned into this thing that now I get to make videos about what I love the most, and it's the sport of hockey.
Yeah. Did it get addicting at first? That first video that popped off, 100K?
Yeah, it was like a drug a little bit, and now I find as I'm getting bigger, it's like, oh, fuck, 100K, like what the hell is that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's dangerous because then it's like no matter what, you're never going to be happy. You like now you're getting 100K and 100K is normal. So now you're like, oh, a video needs to hit 1 million to get the same effect that it used to be when you used to hit 100K.
Exactly. And I was going to ask you the same thing is, do you find a lot of the times your confidence directly comes from the results of your videos? I have such a hard time not trying to fall for that kind of trap, but it's just so hard to avoid it.
100%, man. It is dangerous because in the nature of like what we do, we place value on the numbers, on the views, but the views do not correlate to the amount of effort you put in. And a lot of the times don't necessarily correlate to whether or not it was your best video. It's just for whatever reason, it could be the algorithm. It could be the trend of the day. It could be you said one funny thing and that video popped off. And we place so much value on the views. 100% I do. I try to stop myself from doing it, but it's so hard, man, because it's like that dopamine rush. You hit 1 million views, you hit whatever the number is, and you're like, oh, that feels good, man. Like I want to post more videos like that.
I agree.
And you start to figure out why those videos did well. What do you need to do? Oh, they're hitting me too. What you need to do to continue to hit those milestones, and sometimes it ends up being content that you don't necessarily want to make.
You know what's funny about that is I found myself in that for a little bit where I would make videos that I wouldn't say I hated making them, but I could tell they were getting old with me pretty quickly, but they were working. And I find the more and more I did that, I got to a point where like, dude, I kind of hate this right now. And then that's why I'm so glad this playoff run came around, because I feel like I'm just rejuvenated. I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to start making content I really want to make that I feel like shows off a different side of myself. And I honestly, as much as I'm not getting millions of views with it, it's rewarding seeing that there is an audience for something that I really love doing, and it's so natural to me.
100%. Bro, the views come eventually. You know, sometimes at first it doesn't work. Like, but you're saying content that you started to just like not really enjoy making. It is the exact same thing with me when I was doing my DK character. At first, loved it. It's what helped me blow up. It's what helped me pop off. I was having so much fun doing the character at first.
Yeah.
And eventually I was just like, man, I've done everything I can do with this character. I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And
it was a stepping stone. It was a stepping stone.
But it was tough because I had figured out the formula. I was like, bro, I can just keep making these Toronto man videos. I can keep making these DK videos, and I could keep blowing up. I can keep gaining followers. I can keep growing my page. But I was like, bro, I'm not having fun. I am not enjoying it anymore. It's not funny anymore.
You have to fulfill your soul.
Absolutely.
And that's what it is, because in this business, it's very easy to sell your soul for numbers.
100%.
And I find as soon as you do that, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Yeah. That's why I feel like it comes through in the audience as well. When you make stuff that you're really passionate about, you really love making, you can just feel it. You can see it. You can sense it. They can tell, you know? It's easy to see when it's just like, oh, I'm doing this just because I'm doing it. You know what I mean? But as soon as you put a little bit of love behind it, it's like mom's cooking. Yeah. You know, there's love in that food. But when you're making food you don't want to make, it's like, it tastes like shit.
100%. It's, bro, it's the same thing with the podcast. The same thing with my like Uncle Yousef character. When I started him, people did not like Uncle Yousef at first.
Really?
I like the first maybe 10, 15, 20 videos of me doing Uncle Yousef, people were like, we don't want this. We want Toronto, man. This isn't funny, whatever. And I think it's because most of my audience at the time was just Toronto.
Yeah.
So if it's just someone from Toronto and they weren't Middle Eastern, they maybe didn't think it was that funny.
Yeah.
But now my followers are global.
Yeah.
And people love the character. It's my biggest character. Oof, they're hitting.
We should just start burping in the mics at this point, dude, just for like some sound effects. Just keep people on their toes.
It's like it's my bread and butter. And same thing with Listen. Like this is, I think, the 5th or 6th episode. I've been enjoying doing it so much. It's made me feel like I've been having so much fun cutting the clips, talking to people. Dude, does the podcast get nearly as many views as my regular videos? Absolutely not. Yeah. But I have more fun doing this than anything else.
Yeah, but it's also it's different too, right? And it takes time for people to catch on, and before you know it, you get a couple of clips that go kind of viral, and next thing you know, you got a little bit of an audience, and you know, eventually what you love is something that you can obviously just add to what is already a very impressive repertoire for yourself.
Thank you.
My friend.
Appreciate that.
Of course, dude. But going back to the content, I find this playoff stuff, as much as it rejuvenated me, I find it's almost opened up an avenue for myself to make content that's unique in the hockey space, because it's a pretty niche space, and it's pretty saturated, I guess, as far as things that have already been done. And I was literally for the last 3 weeks of my life, I didn't post any content. I took a break, but it was interesting because during that break, I didn't feel rested. I was still going on socials. I was still like, oh fuck, like I'm still stressing about what am I going to do? What am I going to post? I just felt lost. And then I was like, what can I do that's unique to myself? I literally put myself in these scenarios. I hit record, and now we're making content for the masses. And it's just, I love it so much.
Bro, something I would tell you that I recommend, it's what I've done a few times, is when I've taken social media breaks.
You delete the socials.
Everything.
I've seen that clip. Yeah. I've been stalking.
It's going viral.
I've been stalking. Yeah, I'm doing my research.
Man, it's because I 100% hear you. Like, even taking a break from you posting content, even being a consumer is a little exhausting sometimes. Because even if you're not recording, you're watching other videos and you're thinking even if you're not doing it consciously, subconsciously, you're like, well, I can do this and put it like this twist on it. I can make this kind of video.
Exactly. Oh, this is a good idea. Oh, maybe I can do this. Oh, maybe I can take parts of that.
Yeah.
You know, you're not fully kicking your feet up.
Yeah. It's nice to like take a break completely, because it reminds you that like the real world still exists. Social media isn't everything.
Yeah.
It's really, really nice to do that. And I like that you're kind of like switching up your content, but I like a lot of like, you've been like just talking to people on the street. And I feel like that, not just at like Toronto Maple Leaf tailgates, but that opens up a whole new avenue of like, you can just do streeters, like just going up to random people in Toronto. And, you know, it can even start with hockey, but who knows, down the road, maybe you don't want to do hockey anymore or you want to try something else.
Yeah.
It opens up the opportunity for so many different things.
Exactly. And all part of that is me playing into what my strengths are as far as my personality, because I'm a very personal person. You know, when you're in a friend group, I'm one of those guys that will just talk to random people as you walk by them on the street. You know, that's just me being who I am. And I find playing into that has kind of given me a second wind, a second life. And exactly as you said, eventually it can be something that isn't even hockey, and I touch more of a general audience, and it becomes something that, you know, maybe my style of content changes completely, and I'm just a street guy.
For sure.
You know, just walking around with a mic, and what happens, happens.
Yeah. Are you, social media isn't what you do full time right now, is it?
It is.
Really?
I'm, you know, it's funny. I've only been doing this seriously for a year, and the fact that it's already a full-time gig for me.
That's amazing,
is incredible. I'm only 20.
Yeah.
I'm only 20. Like I'm young as
how,
shit.
How quickly, how long have you been doing it full time now?
Full time as far as like being consistent every day, or like making a full-time income with it?
Full-time income.
I would say last couple 3-4 months.
Okay. Were you working before that?
I was doing I was a goalie coach.
Okay,
because
really?
obviously hockey, you know, I still love it. I'm still on the ice every day. I find, obviously, since I am retired, me coaching kind of helps me scratch that itch of not playing anymore. But that's what I was doing. And honestly, a year ago, I'll never forget the date. March 22nd, 2023 is when I put my foot down, and I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to start posting consistently. I'm going to put my foot down, and let's see where this goes. Because funny enough, 10 days prior to that, I started a new Instagram account, posted like 3 days in a row. Videos did shit. I was like, fuck, I'm not made for this. Let me just figure something else out. And then I slept on it, and I was like, let's give it one more go.
Yeah.
Let's give it one more go. And I bought in, completely devoted myself to it. And here we are a year later. You know, I'm really good friends with, I'm sure you're familiar with Austin Alexander.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
When I started this whole journey, he was on my vision board, and now I'm blessed to call him a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you struggle with this, but I have a problem with mingling with those types of people I used to look up to, and trying to consider them and like act with them as my friends.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm just like, wow, like it's not like I'm hanging out with my buddies. Like, I'm hanging out with Austin Alexander right now. You know, like that's kind of what I feel like I'm hanging out with Jesse right now. You know, like this is so cool to me. And I think it's just all part of the journey and just trying to soak it all in. But in the meantime, I want to build good relationships with these guys. So it's kind of like, okay, let me try and find that middle ground. But yeah, as I said, a year ago, and I completely bought into it, and best decision I ever made. And now I'm lucky to call it my full-time job. And I still do the coaching because I find it's a good boots on the ground initiative, because obviously I'm in the hockey niche, and the hockey community is pretty tight knit, you know, and I find it's good for me to, you know, shake hands, autographs, kiss babies, all that kind of stuff. So it's good. I'm glad I'm able to tie in my work with what I do full time. It's honestly, goalie coaching is pocket change at this point, and it's really a blessing.
That's dope though. I used to so first off, I can't skate, or barely.
I was gonna ask you, have you played? Can you skate? Can we do any of this?
Yeah, I can skate enough to not fall.
Okay.
But like that's basically it. But like growing up, I mean, nowadays I feel like no kids play outside anymore. Everyone's online playing Warzone or whatever. I mean, I'm one of them, but like at least I had a childhood.
When we were younger though, we were out on the street every summer.
I used to play ball hockey every single day. I was attendee. So
okay, right on. Hey, give me Nags. Attaboy.
Yeah, it was I actually loved it. I was actually pretty good, but we're talking tennis ball on the road, not the same as a puck on the ice. But I think I had the skills, but it was I love playing hockey. I'm not the biggest hockey fan in terms of watching it, but whenever the Leafs are in the playoffs, I'm always keeping an eye.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of Leafs in the playoffs, at the time of us recording this, Leafs are down 2-1 to the Bruins.
Yeah.
I think Game 4 is tomorrow.
Game 4 is tomorrow.
But by the time this comes out, we'll either be in the second round or knocked out.
Oh,
so
man.
what's the prediction?
Future me. This is
You're gonna listen to this in like 10 days.
Oh man, no pressure, because I posted a video yesterday and I'm getting a lot of flack from Boston Bruins fans. So I gotta watch my mouth here. But you know what? I've been bleeding blue since before I could think for myself. Not Leafs in 6. We're gonna lose one more game to Boston. Leafs in 7. I'm going to come back to this. Leafs win the next 2 games, go up 3-2. We're going to lose in Boston game 6. Or no, we're going to lose in Toronto game 6, 3-3 going back to Beantown. The boys take it in 7. We conquer the demons. We slay the dragon. I'm not going to say Maple Leaf Stanley Cup.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
3rd round appearance, though, calling it here right now. I don't know if that's me or the Heineken's talking. 3rd round, book it.
Sponsored by Heineken.
Sponsored,
not actually,
well,
but if Heineken wants to.
Unofficially sponsored by
Exactly.
Heineken. But
Exactly.
I think Leafs in 7. I'd love to see a 3rd round appearance.
Yeah. Did you grow up a Leafs fan? Like, were you born? Did you grow up in Toronto?
Yeah, born Newmarket General, same hospital as Connor McDavid actually.
There you go.
I had no excuse not to make the league, but hey, here we are. Yeah, grew up in Newmarket for a couple of years, kind of bounced around, but been in Toronto for the most part my entire life.
A lot of hockey boys up in Newmarket.
I actually didn't grow up at all in Newmarket. I was just born there. As soon as I was born in Newmarket, then we moved to Richmond Hill for a couple of years, and then we moved to where we're living now in North York.
Yeah,
and kind of growing up, obviously there were hockey boys everywhere.
Of course.
Playing on hockey teams and being in that sort of environment. But I was always the guy on teams that was. I was the guy on speaker. I was the guy, saying stupid shit, getting the boys fired up, chirping guys in practice. That's just always what I love doing. I love putting a smile on people's faces, and I found me being able to tie that into hockey was the easiest way for me not only to, I guess, make a name for myself, but also put my personality on a podium and kind of bring it out the best way, which was through hockey content.
Yeah, honestly, most of the guys I went to school with, like hockey guys, they all had like personality. I feel like it almost becomes a part of you, like being in that environment,
definitely.
like ever since you're a kid. It's expensive sport though. Like growing up, I know I think about all the time, like, man, God down the road, God willing, I have kids and all that. I don't know if I'm gonna be putting them into hockey. I might. Yeah. Soccer is the cheapest sport. Give them a ball and that's all you need, really.
It's tough. It's funny because viewership for hockey is going up, but I find as a coach, I see it with my own eyes. The talent pool of youth hockey in Canada, at least in Ontario, I find is pretty diluted because it's just so hard, obviously in this economy, to justify paying $3,000 for, let's say, goalies just for a whole set of goalie gear.
Yeah.
Right. And then obviously kids are growing. You got to get new gear, maybe even sometimes twice a year.
That's crazy.
That's, it's like maybe like 5 years ago, 6 years ago was a different conversation, but now you make 6 figures a year and you're barely scraping the middle class.
Yeah.
Right. Which I think is absurd. But again, I don't want to get into that. I want this to be a fun, lighthearted podcast. But I will say, I think Hockey Canada is in trouble over the next couple of years just because of how talented the USA is with hockey. I think the USA is going to have hockey by the balls over the next couple of years. Yeah. I think Canada's got some catching up to do. But hey, I still love the boys wearing the Maple Leaf.
Yeah. I think it's tough. I feel like almost every sport really is like other countries are starting to catch up. Like I feel like for as long as we've known, like Canada's probably been the best in the world at hockey for like forever. Yeah. And same with like the US and basketball. Yeah. But it's like, man, these other countries are starting to catch up. Like they're just the gap is getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And that's like I'm seeing like a lot of the big stars in the NBA now. Like I'm not the biggest hockey,
like Europeans.
Giannis, Luka, Jokic. Like I'm talking 3 of the top 5 players in the world. Yeah. And none of them are from Canada or the States. No, you know what I mean?
But I still think, oh my God, I'm like fighting the burps here, man. Is there like a not carbonated Heineken that we can come out with anytime soon? Just, I don't know, maybe let Heineken figure that one out. But I definitely think, as you said, gaps are tightening, but obviously the dominant countries are just going to stay dominant no matter what, because obviously it's their bread and butter. It's what they're good at. But, I guess we'll see how it all plays out in the next couple of years here.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to ask you, obviously it's been a little, you've been doing it full time for a while now. You've been getting consistent views. Mm-hmm. How does it feel? Does it ever really like sink in knowing that you have like hundreds of thousands of people that like enjoy your content, click your content, hit the follow button?
You know what's so funny? I was at the Leafs game on Wednesday and I was looking around the stadium and I'm like, this place holds what, 16,000, 18,000 people? And I have like 500,000 followers across all socials. Obviously, I'm not at this guy's level yet. We're going to get there one day. But I was just like, wow, it like really puts it into perspective for me how insane of a number that is to just spew out of my mouth. Like, yeah, over 500,000 people follow me across all social medias. But sometimes it doesn't feel real though, man.
Doesn't set in.
No, it doesn't. I'm just like, Because when I'm with my buddies, I'm like, oh, I'm just a normal dude,
Yeah.
you know? But to some people, like when I go out in public, when I go to these Leafs tailgates, it's like, oh my God, it's Nags. It's like, oh my God, can I get a picture? Can I get an autograph? It's just like, yeah, let's do it. But I don't want you to really put me on this pedestal because I feel like we're all just the same. I just happen to, you know, do what I'm really good at. And obviously there's an audience, but I don't think it should, you know, make people kind of lose their minds. I guess obviously it's cool to see, but it's definitely a unique position that I'm really, really grateful to be in, and I'm sure you are as well.
For sure, yeah. For me, honestly, it's the exact same thing. I think the stadium analogy is the perfect way because you can like visualize it a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think I said it on my last podcast, but I was at WrestleMania a couple weeks ago, and I was there both nights. It's 2 nights now, and over the 2 nights, it was like 145,000 people because it was at Lincoln Financial where the Eagles play.
Right.
So 145,000 people over 2 days. And I'm like, man, if you take those 2 nights, double it, and add another 100,000, that's how many Instagram followers I have. And it's like
crazy.
It's like you really have to like take a step back and like just look around and be like, this many people enjoy my content, like my content, hit the follow button. Like it's crazy to think about.
That's the big thing too, is they hit follow.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
that's the big one.
It's like that many people, like, okay, they probably seen one video, like, scroll. They've probably seen you pop up again, like, scroll a third time. You know what? Let me check what this guy's all about. Probably done a couple doom scroll sessions.
Yeah.
Fuck, this guy's funny. Let me hit follow.
Exactly.
To have that happen like that many times over is just like, gotta be doing something right.
Yeah.
You gotta be doing something right.
Yeah. You were talking about your buddies. Did they start treating you any differently since you kind of got some clout?
It depends. Some yes, and those guys I found I've slowly started to cut out of my life because I found as my kind of social media personality and my career has gotten bigger, my circle has gotten smaller. Like I'm at that point now where I honestly consider it a flex that I've got like 3 fucking beauties that I call my best friends. And besides that, I'm like, hey, that's all I need. You know, they're all good guys. I got my best friend. I got someone I do social media with who's one of my best buddies, and I got you know, like a confidant, I guess. And I find it's a really good dynamic. And but as far as people treating me different, I find people get really envious.
Yeah.
I find people get really jealous. I find there were a lot of people who, obviously, how old are you?
26.
Do you use Snapchat?
Oh yeah.
So I found there were a lot of people who had unadded me on Snapchat because of them being jealous. Oh, what's going on here? Don't tell me that's a fire alarm going off right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm a good-looking guy, but I don't know if we need the fire alarms going off here.
Welcome back. Sorry for the technical difficulties. There's a fire alarm going off in the background. Some dummy pulled it. So
I actually just walked in here and then someone pulled the alarm.
It's a smoke show.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm getting called. I'm calling them smoke shows. I don't know. I was getting called the smoke show. I didn't have that on my bingo card today, but hey, bring it on.
Well, I think we were talking about friends treating you differently.
Yes, we were. Yes.
And you said you have a much smaller group now, and you kind of like not spaced yourself, but like just naturally stopped spending as much time with the people who treated you differently.
I outgrew them, most definitely. And obviously, I got a couple good guys around me, but they treat me like I'm the same dude before I was ever making videos, and I think that's really refreshing.
Yeah,
it's good to have that. It reminds you of where you came from, and it keeps a good head on your shoulders.
100%.
But as far as people I've kind of shaked off or outgrew, it was just, hey, no harm, no foul. I'm just on this trajectory, and I don't find you're adding value to my life. Yeah. I mean, I might sound a little bit rude and kind of like an asshole.
No, not at all, bro.
I'm just like, listen, man, I'm moving on to better things, and I just don't think you line up with the vision I have, and that's all it is.
Honestly, man, I think it's like you said, you're 20, right?
I am,
so like I'm a little bit old. I'm 26. Like I've found over the last few years, like
a vet.
Man, you're gonna. I am a vet. You're gonna lose some friends, man. Like people just aren't on the same path. They're going different directions. That's totally cool. It could be completely. You know, it can come from both sides. Like, there's no beef. There's no, if I see you, what up? Hope you're doing good, but we're just not as close as we used to be.
Yeah.
But I think it's super important to have friends that do not treat you differently.
Yeah.
Because for me, I think it really keeps you grounded. It keeps you like, it reminds you like, bro, you're nothing. Like, you're nothing special. You're just like everyone else. You just make videos and people like your videos. So I think it's really dope that you have friends that don't treat you any differently.
Like as much as they love it, I'm sure your buddies love it
of
too.
Course,
like when you go out, it's like, oh, it's the guy. Like they probably think it's cool and it's a good time. But behind closed doors, when it's just you rubbing shoulders with those guys, it's like, hey, let's do shit we were doing when we were buddies back in high school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Have they ever used you to like pull a girl?
Yeah, pull girls or like get into events. Dude, I remember once we were in Waterloo and we were trying to get into this bar and there was like a line going around the block and we were like, boys, we can't stand in this fucking line. I walk by the thing and I'm like, let me just talk to the security guard, the bouncer. I'm talking to him. He goes, you make videos? And I'm like, yeah, I do. And he goes, because you look like that one guy, prove it. Pull up my socials. He goes, how many guys are you with? I said, 3. He goes, you guys are good. Go in.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's happened so many times. That's happened a lot of times. And I guess I call it perks of the business.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, you see a girl you like, you pull them. I hit him with one of these. It usually works, and then it's game over from there. Even getting into places that I shouldn't be getting in.
Yeah.
I find my way in there because people know me from what I do, and I think it's like, hey, as much as it's a card that not many other people can pull, it's a card that I can play because I've worked my ass off to get to this spot, and I'm sure you can tell that tale as well.
For sure, yeah. For me, not the girls.
Because you got a girlfriend,
I've been in a relationship
right?
ever since I've been on social media.
You got to behave a little bit.
But I have used it to help my buddies get girls.
I
remember going to Niagara, and we're just at some really trashy bar. Like we had
like a dive bar.
There was no need to be there, but it was open. We're like, all right, let's get a few drinks. And one of my buddies, he's talking to a girl, and he literally pulls me over, and he's like, show her your Instagram. And I'm like, oh yeah. And he's like, yeah, that's my buddy. Like we're boys.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
okay, so
all right, whatever I could do to help you.
How
bro.
does that help him though? Because like he's like, yo, show him your Instagram while I'm trying to flirt with this girl.
Yeah, I don't know, but it ended up working. So I don't know. I just said, yeah, this is my Instagram, but it worked.
Okay.
It worked.
All right. Yeah. I mean, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Me personally, I would never call over a friend to like, hey, this is my buddy. That's why you should make out with me right now. It's like, I feel like
whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you. So you've been going to all of the Leafs tailgates.
I have. Yes. I have.
Have you been to Raptors games before?
I was at one Raptors game.
Yeah.
And I was sitting right behind the Raptors bench actually because my mom at the time was dating a very rich man, who I'm assuming wanted to get on my good side and my mother's good side, and he got me a Kyle Lowry jersey, and courtside Raptors tickets.
That's amazing.
And I remember it was like December 2nd. I'm born December 1st, so the day after my birthday. And I remember just taking in the whole experience. It was really cool, but obviously I'm not a basketball guy.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, call a spade when they're in the playoffs. I'm a huge basketball guy. Yeah, go Raptors, go. I'm jumping up and down. I remember the finals run that they had. I pretended like I was a fan since day one.
Yeah, like me with the Leafs.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same idea. I feel like when any Toronto team is in the playoffs, you kind of got to show support. But
for sure,
I have been to one Raptors game and it was courtside, and I remember I dapped up Norman Powell. And that was pretty cool. And that's kind of my Raptor story.
I like it.
Yeah.
I think that, so I used to work at Scotiabank Arena for about 2 years for PlayStation. We used to have a little booth set up.
I remember I would always see those. Yes.
Yeah. For people to try VR. And we were there for Leafs games and Raptors games. And man, it is such a different crowd.
How?
For Leafs games to Raptors games. So first, Raptors games are much more multicultural. So Leafs games,
I was about to say, what's the ratio to brown dudes?
I'll just call, like you said, call a spade a spade. Leafs games was 90% white people. But also I think Raptors games are much more family oriented, and I think it's because Leafs tickets are so damn expensive.
Are they more expensive than Raptors tickets?
For sure, 100%.
Really?
I think when the Raptors were right after they won the championship, I think prices were about the same. But right now, because the Raptors suck, Leafs tickets are definitely much more expensive.
Okay, that makes sense. So even when the Leafs were garbage tickets, I can't remember them being that expensive. So I feel like it kind of fluctuates with the team.
For sure. But it's also, with the Leafs, there's way more, it's way more business. Many people, they got tickets from work. It's like a business meeting. They're like, oh, we'll go to the game, do the meeting.
Yes.
And it kind of sucks because then there's no energy. There's no fans.
Yes,
everyone wearing suits and dressing up and doing all that stuff.
He is preaching to the choir right now. Are you kidding me? I've had this discussion so many times, and it's like, listen, It is so suit and tie at these fucking Leafs games. Half of the people sitting in the lower bowl are just, oh, yeah, you know, my lawyer gave me these tickets because he won the case. Go enjoy the fucking game.
And they're not even Leafs fans.
They're not even Leafs fans, dude. Like, now I'm getting passionate. Now I gotta, you know, when you're losing like a video game, you gotta sit forward here. This is what I'm doing right now, okay? Because I've had this discussion. You have to bring the people who really want to be in the building. And I understand it's a lot easier said on paper because a lot of the people at the tailgates probably don't have $1,000 to spend on lower bowl tickets. But fuck me, man. That's the one thing that always comes up in the discussion as far as the Maple Leafs are concerned is their home building fucking sucks.
Yeah.
And I was there for game 3 of the playoffs this past Wednesday at the time of recording this. When the game was on, I remember there were points where I was like, are we in a library? Like, I didn't have to swipe my Toronto Public Library card to get in here, did I? Maybe I forgot it at home. I don't know. Because it was, you could, so if someone were to drop their wallet, you could hear it. And I was really disappointed because you see other hockey teams on TV, and I'm sure even the Raptors too. You go to other places, and it's just like, man, like there is always noise. There's always a roar. There's always a cheer. And in Toronto, it's just this, I get it. People are bought into the game, but there's got to be some heckling. Like I go to minor hockey games and it's louder than when you go to watch the big club play.
Yeah.
You know, and it really disappoints me because there I am drunk off my ass trying to get the crowd going. I'm literally, if you check out my most recent Instagram post, at not Erik Nagy, selfless plug. If you check out the video, I'm literally on my feet telling this fucking 300 section, get up on your feet. Go Leafs, go! And everyone is just sitting with their legs crossed and their hands crossed, and it's really disappointing because I think that's really what sets these teams apart. Is if you can build that hostile environment for the away teams to play in, it's game over. If I'm a Leafs fan, dude, if I were to wear my Leafs jersey to a Boston game, to a playoff game in Boston, I would get beers dumped on me. I'd get peanuts. I would turn into a urinal during the intermissions. People would be pissing on me. In
the
Toronto,
other way around.
In Toronto, it's like, oh, let me hold your hand. You want the red carpet treatment if you're a Boston fan? And that's what pisses me off. It's like, guys, we have to put our foot down.
Yeah.
As Leafs fans, as Toronto sports fans, we have to make this place a home where away teams don't want to come and play.
Yeah, it's got to be enemy territory.
That's exactly what it has to be.
Yeah.
And it is. It's like, you know, the away team comes in and they're skipping down the yellow brick road.
Yeah.
You know, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. No, it's tough. Like I know even when I was working for the Raptors and the Leafs, like at the arena when the Raptors had their championship run, and like man, the crowd was there. Like I was in the arena watching as Kawhi hit that shot
against Philly,
and it's like I will never. It kind of like ruined sports for me because like I don't know if, okay, maybe not actually, but like watching live sports, it'll never, like that is one of the greatest moments
of
top
all time.
5
of all time.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Top 5, in like NBA history, top 5 moments, maybe top 3, maybe top 2, I don't know. But just an absolutely crazy shot. And the fans were there and they were loving it. And I think because the tickets are a little bit cheaper,
you get the right
people
crowd.
are more inclined to bring their kids, and kids love going, they love screaming, they love getting loud. Whereas for the Leafs games, it's business. It's you're on a business, like, you know, you don't want to you don't want to be uncool. You don't want to do this. You don't want to do that. It's like, bro, you got to help the Leafs, man. Like the crowd is like in the NBA, they're a 6-man. In the NHL, it's like having another player on the ice. Like the crowd can make a big difference.
Yeah. Hey man, as I said, preaching to the choir. I think we're on the same page here as far as that's concerned.
Yeah. So talk to me about, because this year the Leafs or Toronto hosted the NHL All-Star game.
They did. Yeah. Honestly, it's I thought it was pretty cool. First time they came back here, and I can't remember. I think it was like 20-something years. But I am going to call the NHL out right now because I was very, very disappointed that I did not get any heads up from them. A hockey creator in the backyard of where your All-Star game is, and you guys have the balls, and I got to give the NHL credit because they had big fucking balls to not bring me, but they brought guys who wouldn't even make videos about hockey. And that it hurt my feelings. It did, because I grew up in Toronto. Hockey content. This team's been my life. This city's where I've started my career, and you guys just didn't even give me a nod. And it's just, I kind of had to make my own way of the All-Star weekend, which I guess was the fun. And, you know, it was just really cool and almost validating in a sense that I would show up to these events that the NHL would put on and literally would be shutting down these events with the amount of people that would be coming up to me. And I was just like, hey, you don't want me to be at these events that you're hosting? Fine, so be it. But I'm still going to show up and I'm still going to do what I do best. Absolutely broke my heart. But I mean, I think it's also one of those things where I think my time will come.
Yeah.
You know, I think I'm pretty early in this life cycle. I've only been in it
super
for
early.
a year, and I think they could be thinking, oh, maybe this guy's a flash in the pan. So I guess it's for me to prove it to myself and to them as well that this is something I can do sustainably.
Bro, give it some time. I'm sure, I mean, the next few All-Star games, probably a lot of them aren't going to be in Toronto, but I'm sure the NHL will probably just fly you out, man. Like,
I really hope
just give it some time.
I really hope so. But it's also, and I know the NHL, I talked to a lot of the creators who they do work with, and they said that they're very conservative with how they operate. And obviously my agenda, my style of content, it pushes the envelope. I say some things that people probably wouldn't say, and I don't know how I get away with some of the stuff I do say, but listen, I understand they got an image to upkeep, but it's also at the same time, like, if I'm not mistaken, I keep an eye on, you know, the NHL, and as far as how they keep up with the NFL, NBA, they don't do that well on socials because I find their content is the same stuff. It's bland, it's boring. There's no personality, there's no spice. It's very just, oh, let's put a smile on everyone's faces. Let's try and appeal to everyone, which I understand that because as a league, you kind of have to do that. You don't want to, what's the word I'm looking for? You don't want to, I guess, segregate a certain population from enjoying your sport. But it also, there has to be some appeal. There has to be some excitement. Like, you know, the NBA's got a bunch of these big basketball creators. You look at the NFL, they got Destroying, they got Sketch now, and these guys, they're obviously they push the envelope a little bit, and yeah, their content might not be the cleanest, but they're still bringing them in because they know they're smart. They know where the attention is. They know where the value's at, and I find you just need someone to slowly but surely break down that barrier of them kind of being a little too safe with that. I feel like they're a little too safe.
No, I agree.
With the content.
I think they're just too conservative, and because of that, they're leaving money on the table.
I agree.
We're talking about, like, I think the NBA is kind of one of the front runners when it comes to major leagues in North America. Like, they take risks, they make changes, like the play-in tournament, or the in-season tournament, and adding the play-ins to the playoffs. Yeah, and like other leagues tend to follow suit, but the NHL always seems to like lag behind. Yeah, like, I think one of the things that does so well for the NBA is like they just post tons of clips. Like, I'm a huge NBA fan, but I don't watch full games very often. Playoff time, like right now, I'm watching I'm watching games in full. But regular season, anything that you need to know, like, that is noteworthy, you're gonna see on Twitter or X or whatever. Yeah. And I feel like the NHL, also MLB, I feel like they don't do the best job of that. I think they're starting to get a little bit better because they're starting to understand it. Yeah. But yeah, they got to stop being conservative, man. Like you said, bro, Sketch, like, he's killing it for the NFL. What's happening? Was it special teams, special plays, special players, Tuesday. Oh shit, knocking over water bottles here. But like, I think that just it brings more eyeballs, and I think the NHL needs to do that more.
Yes, hey man, you're preaching to the choir, my friend. You're putting a smile on my face to all this stuff because, as I said, I tend to agree. You know, it's I find it's a little bit of a boys' club too. You know, obviously the NHL has been around for, I don't know, I think they're one of the longest tenured like sports leagues out there, and I think it's time for a shift. I think it's time to ruffle the feathers a little bit, and you know, the NHL, if you want to slide a little bit of a postcard through my mail slot in the apartment one of these days, I'll be more than happy to open it, and let's tango. It takes two to tango. You guys know where to find me.
Yeah, I mean, I think you would leave such a good influence on the NHL. I think it'd be fantastic. Yeah. Who were your influences growing up, now that I say it?
Influences as far as like
content
athletes,
creation.
Content creators. Who did I grow up watching? I don't know are you familiar with Pavel Barber?
Okay, yeah.
Pavel Barber was a big one. There was one, and this is really niche that I'm not sure a lot of people are going to get, only if you were big into the NHL video games growing up. 2BC Productions. I'm not surprised you've never heard of him. This guy was my absolute childhood favorite, and he still is at the age of 20 years old. I was, I think, 10 when I first discovered this guy's content, and there was just something about how captivating he was in his videos. He would always do like his franchise mode videos where he would take over teams, and he was kind of my driving force behind really falling in love with the game. And funny enough, actually, I had a conversation with my dad. He said, you know what, Eric, I think you got a good hockey IQ sense from just playing the video game so much and just watching and just consuming all the content, because I was a hockey nerd. I was a hockey freak. I'm really disappointed I was never able to take it somewhere. But I lived and breathed the game of hockey. And as far as you said, influences growing up, I'd say those two guys were pretty big.
What about the Nelk boys?
The Nelk boys was more so, I wouldn't say it was like a It was a little bit of an influence, I
Yeah.
guess, but it wasn't as far as like, oh, I want to live a lifestyle that these guys have. It was more so, oh, I find them really entertaining and
Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
I'm blessed to be in a position where, you know, I wouldn't say I'm good buddies, but I'm friends with them when they're in the city, and I've hung out with them before, and they're good stuff, and they've kind of taken me under the wing. I was actually, I did a Happy Dad commercial with them.
Nice.
Yeah, I did a Happy Dad commercial with them. That was pretty cool. I remember we were just hanging out. I met them in Edmonton for the first time.
Okay.
I was with my buddies. We were just waiting outside the line for them to come into this bar, and obviously, you know, fans are going crazy. Oh my God, Nelk, Nelk, Nelk! And Kyle, he's walking by the red rope that's separating like the VIP from the regular people. He's yo Nags, what's up? And he just waves at me, and I was like, dude, yeah, all these fucking people saw that. Yeah, you saw that shit. Yeah, you waved me in, and that's where I first kind of connected with them and met the whole crew. And he was like, hey, I want to do this thing with Happy Dad. We'd love to have you in the commercial. And I was like, dude, put me down.
That's amazing, bro.
Yeah.
I haven't had the pleasure of meeting them yet. But like, man, I grew up watching them so much. Like what they're doing, it's crazy to think from where they came to where they are now. So like, I grew up watching like early days. They're dressing up as a Subway employee.
How early? Because I caught on to them when they were at, I think, 200,000 subscribers on YouTube. When did you catch on to them?
I don't know the number. I just know like the pranks. Like it was just peak like all they were doing at the time was dressing up as employees and dressing up as a janitor and going to Brock University or dressing up as a Subway employee or like the Tim Hortons. Everyone knows the Tim Hortons, or winning roll up the rim.
And then he gets fucking like jumped and
and he's like, I'm Usain Bolt, I'll catch them. Like, bro, they were like, I'll be completely honest, where they have gone now is so good for them. And like
100%.
They have been able to turn like just their YouTube page where they were doing pranks into a full-blown business. Nelk, Happy Dad, like they are global sensation now. And the quality of their videos now is so high compared to like, man, just like one camera, like them just doing pranks. But personally, my favorite Nelk is like watching them before people knew who they were. Seeing the little pranks, so many little clips of just them going to like Walmart and dressing up as employees. Just all those kinds of stuff was my favorite stuff. But man, props to them because they like, especially Kyle, like
that guy,
the way he's been able to transform this entire brand into something that is like world renowned. Like everyone knows Nelk now. Like shout out to them, man.
He's one of the smartest guys out there, and I'm not just saying that because he follows me on Instagram. But Kyle, you really are. You're good at what you do, and you're smart as far as business sense is concerned. And he's doing all the right things. And obviously, you know, you look at the brand. I find it's funny too because a lot of people say, "Oh, I want the old Nelk. I wish the old Nelk." I don't think they understand where Nelk is now. They can't do this shit anymore. That guy, like, dude, if they go into the Walmart, someone's gonna take a picture, and then eventually
it's over.
It's done. You know, it's like they can't just dress up in disguises and be the old Nelk. Like everyone knows who Nelk is nowadays.
And not just that, like by the end of them kind of doing all the pranks, like they were getting into a lot of legal trouble. Like I remember seeing videos of like getting arrested, stuff like that.
Because I found they really had to push the envelope as what they were doing because they always set the bar so high for themselves. It was like, okay, guys, like if we push this any further, we're gonna be spending time in like, you know, federal penitentiary. Like, I mean, that's how far they were pushing the envelope sometimes.
And now they have found a way to transform that.
They have,
and really build a brand where it's just like, it's essentially vlogging. Like someone's just following them, seeing how they go about their day, what they do. They still do pranks, but like,
I will say they do really dope shit that they're vlogging. Like 100%. I saw Kyle's Instagram story today. They're like tornado chasing now. Like, they did the whole Bachelor thing. Like I think they are still, it's like a vlog style, but I think what they're vlogging and the whole concept behind it is really smart and is just very attention drawing. And,
absolutely.
And as far as how they put that whole production together, it's an A1 piece of content, and and you know, you look at them 10 years down the road, they are still one of the biggest players in the social media game.
Yeah, I think that's one of the toughest things is staying relevant. Long.
But it's also longevity, and it's making yourself something that can be, obviously, as you said, a front runner of the attention for a long time, but also making it sustainable as far as a business, as far as like, yeah, okay, it's great that you got that longevity. How can you continue to make an income and still put food in people's mouths over the course of that while that you're doing it? And as you said, you know, they got Happy Dad, they got their merch. I remember I saw a podcast clip that he did like what, $13 million in 10 minutes from merch.
Yeah, no, their merch goes
that's
crazy.
Absurd. I mean, obviously they've kind of slowed down with that, but I remember at their peak, like 2020, 2021, the website would go live at one refresh.
It would crash.
Everything. I remember they were the first people to crash the Spotify website.
Yeah.
You know, and I just think rubbing shoulders with those guys nowadays is, again, hard to fathom and hard to really comprehend. But I think it just shows kudos to how good you and I are at what we do. And I think we just have to take the right steps, and we're probably not too far off of doing what they're doing nowadays.
No, I hear one of the quotes I always remember is like, if you look at the people in your circle, and if they don't inspire you, it's not a circle, it's a cage.
Yeah,
and it's like, man, the people around you, like you, like your friends are like you said, Austin Alexander, the Nelk boys, like they're killing it. Like stick with them, learn from them, and it's gonna be.
Question for you.
Yeah.
As you found, as you were gaining popularity and followers on social media, and you had bigger people following you, did that drive you to make better quality content? Because that it did with me. As soon as I had like high-end people following me, I was like, okay, I really have to step up my game. I can't just make this little Mickey Mouse shit. Yeah. Obviously, you want to stick to the brand that you're known for, but I feel like you want to step up the quality. You want to take that next step because you don't want to put garbage content in front of these people who are bought into you.
Yeah, I think it's to an extent, yes. I think I just not necessarily up the like production value or like how good the content is, but like I always want to evolve, because I think about like you know, back in our day, like the people who were doing so well on YouTube, like
back in our day, buddy, I'm 20. What are you talking about? Back in our day, I've got a long way to go.
Take like 10 years ago, the people that were popping on YouTube, most of them aren't the people that are popping now.
It's a different landscape, right?
100%. And for me, I want to always evolve. So it's like I don't want to do the Uncle Yousef content forever. Right. That's why I like having the podcast. I'm going to Japan in a couple weeks. I want to post some Japan content.
How's your Japanese?
Zero. I watch some anime. That's about it. But like I want to always be evolving, because I feel like if you continue to do the same content forever and forever, like you're gonna get left in the dust.
It's that, and it gets stale. And I find as yourself as a creator, you put yourself in a box. Like, fuck, is this all I can do? Is this all I'm limited to? And going back to why I'm glad I started changing my style of content for the playoffs, I proved it to myself that, hey, it was a little bit of a mind fuck that I kind of put myself in this box that was kind of non-existent. I just had to break down those barriers. And I think same thing for you with that DK character, is you thought, fuck, am I going to be stuck in this for forever? And then eventually you just branched out, you stuck with it, and it caught on, and you know, look at you now, buddy. Listen.
Yeah. I know your content is much more broad than like, for example, mine was like my DK character was like one character. Yours is like hockey, so it's much more broad, but
it's different characters.
Do you think you're always going to want to do hockey content, or do you see yourself down the road wanting to do anything else?
I think down the road, as I said, hockey, the comedy and the whole culture of it is a great platform and a podium to get my personality out there, because I find it just ties in so seamlessly. But obviously, I'm just, again, I'm going to sound like an asshole saying this, but I find I'm just so talented, and I think me just centering myself into hockey would be a shame, because I'm a funny guy outside of it. Like I'm a Canadian boy, and it's easy for me to tap into hockey. But as far as building out of it, I definitely think that's something I want to do, because like you look at the Nelk guys, like, yeah, obviously, you know, they had a little bit of hockey influence in their brand because they were hockey guys growing up. They're Canadian boys. They've all been in the same places I've been, and obviously it still influences their content to this day, but it's not what they do. Yeah. Right. They just, this is what I preach to everyone that I have these conversations with, is I really want to get people bought into my personality, because at that point you can do anything. You can take a video of you taking a shit, right? And if it's you, people will be bought into it. People will find it funny. That's what I'm really trying to work on. Sorry. So the answer to your question is no, I don't want to be stuck in hockey forever. Yeah. But as I said, it's something that I will continue to tap into because I love it, and it put me in the position I'm in today. So I'm forever going to be grateful to it. But I definitely think I'm meant for bigger and better things. Yeah.
Honestly, it's something I've struggled with, because like I kind of built my page on characters like DK, like Yousef, but it's like I want to show them Jesse, which is kind of part of why Listen is even a thing.
Hell yeah, dude.
But it's like, show them Erik, and like you'll find that like it might take a little bit longer than like characters or this or that, but like people will start to follow you. People will start to enjoy your content. And then it's like once you've got them bought in on Erik.
Yes. Exactly.
Bro, the sky's the limit.
Exactly. You know that's exactly it. Is we do these characters to build an audience for ourselves, and through building that audience, we gain these loyal followers who, through thick and thin, will still follow, comment, and support on whatever it is that we do. So I find it makes that transition a lot easier per se, as opposed to if you were just coming out of the gate with 0 followers, portraying this personality or being yourself, because it's like, oh, why the fuck do I care about, like, who is this guy?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But as soon as you build yourself up to somebody, it's a lot easier to kind of keep them and almost invest them into who you are. And obviously, I think you're doing a great thing with this podcast and showing a different side of you that people wouldn't usually see on camera. And I honestly feel the same way. As I really enjoy doing these because, you know, people know me for my kind of off the cuff one-liners and just the ridiculous stuff that comes out of my mouth in these different scenarios that I play. But, you know, when I'm not making hockey content, I'm a totally different person. I like fashion. My music taste is super janky and really weird. You know, it's all over the map. I'm a really interesting person behind these characters, but I think in what we do, we kind of all have to have our little quirks.
Absolutely. Would you ever do because you're saying you want to do other stuff, you don't just want to do hockey. Would you ever do stand-up comedy?
I've thought about it. I think as much as I would love to, my strength is having conversations and just saying really funny excerpts, or like just like chiming in and saying really funny shit. Like, yeah, I would love to be a stand-up comic. I think my strength in that would be crowd work.
Yeah.
Because I'm really good at improv. That's why moving into like street content where I'm just like off the cuff having to, you know, come up with something that's happening in front of me wouldn't be hard because that's really easy for me to do. But as far as like sitting down and writing down the joke of what's funny, like, okay, I don't know if this is gonna hit or not, but I kind of came up with a little bit of a joke in my head if I were to do stand-up comedy. It was the general idea was like, oh, you know, obviously back in the day to lure kids into a white van, you would say, oh, we got candy. Lately, it's been Wi-Fi. In the next 10 years, it's gonna be, hey, your pronouns are in the van. You know, like just stupid shit like that. Obviously, I have to dress it up a little bit more, but I just look at that stuff and I'm like, you know what? Down the road, I think maybe. Yeah. But as far as now, I want to focus on, you know, being in front of the camera and doing kind of more skit-based stuff. I definitely think acting is something I do want to get into.
For sure, yeah.
And playing like funny characters, because I think I'm a pretty good actor through acting through these different scenarios in front of my videos. But you know, if it comes to a point where stand-up does end up being an avenue that I find myself on,
why not?
You know, I wouldn't be opposed to it. What about you? Do you think that's something you'd want to do?
Man, I get that question like almost every day. People asking me like, really? Oh, have you ever done stand-up comedy? Are you interested? Like, I've had people tell me like, bro, come to Dubai and we can put on a show for you and stuff like that.
I feel like it's not that easy. You don't just put on a show.
Yeah, it's like, because you have to think like, I'm someone who has zero experience. So like, I know how the comedy game works in terms of like, if I'm going to do my first stand-up, like even 5 minutes is actually a pretty long time for like your first set. So I'm like, I've thought about it. I've written stuff in my notes. I'm like, oh, that'd be funny. That'd be funny. But it's just such a different ball game. And it's so much different than posting content online that you can kind of prepare and film. And I don't like this take. I'm going to use this take. Mm-hmm. It's interested me before. I did it once in high school for like our high school talent show. And I killed it.
Oh, you killed it.
I killed it. I killed it. And I had so much fun doing it.
Yeah.
But and I think like I could sell out maybe like a small room or something. I think I'd be able to do well, but it's tough. And it's like, is that really something, even if I want to pursue it seriously, do I want to be on the road all the time? Do I want to, you never know. Not to say you have to, but.
Yeah, not to mention the grind that it takes. I'm obviously, you know, Nima.
Of course, yeah, he's in Australia now.
That's what I was going to say. I'm good friends with him. I filmed a bunch of stuff with him, and this guy, he's so committed to stand-up. He picked up and moved to Australia because that's the best scene for comedy right now.
I didn't even know that. Is it? Really?
He said that's why he moved, because there was a lot of opportunity. I guess it's not as saturated as it would be trying to start up here in North America.
Oh, that's true.
And I'm just looking at the dude and wow, the dedication to do something like that is my hat's off to him. I just don't know if I could find myself doing something like that.
It's just like, I already have my content stuff. I don't know if I have.
You know what works for you.
Yeah,
already,
I know what works. And it's like, do I want to? Because if I'm going to go into stand up, I'm going to go all in. The same way I've gone in with the podcast.
You have to.
I'm not going to half ass it. It's I'm either going hard in stand up or I'm not doing it at all. So as of right now, I'm not doing it at all.
Yeah.
One of your series that I love though is, I think it might be my favorite, is the like hockey player in French class.
Okay, yes.
That shit makes me laugh because it's so relatable being a Canadian kid.
Thank you, man.
Growing up in French class, and like you remind me of so many of the guys I went to school with. It's just so fun. And like you like rub it, like scratching your nuts and then smelling your
little
I don't know
scratch
why
and
it's just
sniff.
so funny.
Yeah, you know what? It's so easy for me to play the character because I speak French fluently.
Okay,
I
really?
speak 3 languages. I speak English, I speak French, and Hungarian.
Nice.
So for me to like play the guy who's clueless in French class is so easy to me because
Yeah.
I know how to mix it and mingle the words, right? And I got that hockey accent down pat.
It's like you speak 4 languages, English and,
and hockey. Yeah,
and
it's
then
like a whole
Hungarian,
different
French.
language. Like half the time I say stuff and it just flies over people's head because they don't know what's coming out of my mouth. That it's funny. I honestly, it started as just like a really funny video idea. As just like, oh, let me just do hockey player like the French class. And like, yo, Mademoiselle Smoke Show. Like, yo, what's up, Mademoiselle Rocket? Like, and just all this stuff. And I guess it turned into what it is now. And it's funny because I've built an audience of almost teachers from that now.
Really?
I was out with Austin on Saturday after game 1 of the playoffs here in Toronto, and we were kind of bar hopping a little bit. And then we bumped into this crowd of teachers. And she goes, hey, like I saw your French video, and as a teacher, I thought it was really funny and really accurate. And me being the horn dog I am, I love teachers. So I tried flirting with her, and she politely told me that she's a little too old for me. But Miss Young, if you're out there, thank you. I love you for watching the content.
No such thing as too old.
That's what I was trying to tell her. But I know I guess she's got to keep a good image, whatever that means.
You're out of school, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm of age.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? I can buy you a drink, But no, it's honestly a series I love, and it's easy for me to tap into, and that slowly evolved into me doing like a French hockey coach as well as like a Quebec kind of sort of thing. And I just kind of stumbled upon it. I thought it would just be like a one-off video, and the people loved it so much. I just kind of turned it into a little bit of a series, which I am going to bring back after the playoffs.
You have to, man.
Because
you have to.
I'm trying to think of different scenarios because I did hockey player is late. I did hockey player when there's a substitute teacher in French class.
You've done hockey player presentation.
Presentation.
No?
Nimanaz actually inspired that one.
Yeah.
So there's so many different classroom ones that I think are still left to be done. But I find that's the thing with a lot of these is there's only so many scenarios that you can do until it gets to a point where you have to start making them up and it doesn't hit as hard.
You got to force it a little bit.
You do. That's what it is. I'm not a big guy on forcing stuff.
No, but that's
I'm
good.
not a fan of that. I like it when it's natural, when it's there, when the piece of content is already a scenario and I'm able to put my own flair on it while still keeping that, I guess, reality to it.
I think that's good because you're like, that means you're naturally going to evolve. Like you're not going to force, you're not going to be like, okay, well, this series is doing well, even though I'm out of ideas. I got to keep making it work. Like you're just going to naturally find stuff.
That's the thing. That's what I found myself doing when I first started blowing up was with the green screen stuff. And my idea was just put hockey players in like ridiculous scenarios. I would do hockey player, car salesman, hockey player, like flirting with the flight attendant. One of the ones I did that was kind of fucked up was hockey player on the submarine that sunk. And it did well until TikTok like
took it down.
Well, they didn't take it down, but they just flagged the video. They said, hey, we can't put this on the For You page anymore.
Yeah.
Dude, it got like 100K views in an hour.
Really?
And then TikTok said, hey, fuck you. We can't put this out. And I was like, listen, I get it. I was pushing the envelope a little bit.
A little too much.
But same idea with that, though, is that there were only so many scenarios I could think of that were obviously real life. At that point, as soon as I started forcing it, the results weren't there. I kind of fell out of love with it. Okay, what's next? And obviously, I reinvented myself a little bit, but then you can only reinvent yourself so much until you have to keep on evolving with your content.
Yeah.
Right?
What do you think about the TikTok ban?
Honestly, I'm glad. I'm happy because I think we're really gonna get. I find we're at a crossroads right now where it's gonna separate the real content creators from the fake ones. I find it's really easy on TikTok, especially. It's the one platform where you can blow up overnight. Right, you can post a video and you wake up the next morning. Oh my God, I got all these hundreds of like that one video with the strawberry. Like, with all due respect, I saw that shit and I'm like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever fucking seen in my life. Like, we both know the effort that goes into content. This chick literally just, like, let me do it with the Heineken bottle.
Yeah, and it got millions and tens of millions.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, I guess that only happens on TikTok and with the generation we find ourselves in. But I'm excited. Obviously we've built up enough of a following on other platforms as well to the point where like, okay, if TikTok does go, let it go, because we're not even making money from TikTok. I find TikTok was just a platform where people can become aware from us.
For sure.
But I think we're both at points where we can evolve what we already have on different platforms into what is really kind of a loyal following and just take it to who knows where.
And I like Instagram more personally.
Me too.
I have a way bigger I mean, less followers, like almost half the followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
But like, it's just a community. Like,
Yes,
so my
that's what I was gonna
engagement on
say,
Instagram
yes.
is through the roof.
Yes.
Because all these people are they're so nice. They always leave comments. And
yes.
I said it, I feel like I've said it almost every episode I've done, but like, I like Instagram more than TikTok.
Yeah, I find TikTok is very it's stupid. TikTok is stupid because you'll have all these hundreds of thousands of followers, yet your video will sometimes barely scratch 10,000 views. It doesn't make sense. It's like, why am I building up this following if you're not even going to show it to the people who follow
the followers don't mean anything because
Exactly.
it's For You page.
I also find the difference is with TikTok, people, when they go on TikTok, it's like an investment.
Mhm.
It's like the people know, okay, if I'm on TikTok, I'm going to be scrolling for a little bit. Whereas on Instagram, there's a little bit more warmth to it. I find an Instagram follow is worth tenfolds more than a TikTok follow. Because on TikTok, people follow thousands of people. They probably forget half the people that they follow.
Yeah.
Whereas on Instagram, you want to keep that looking, you want that following number pretty low because it helps with the kind of follower ratio and it matters who you follow. And
100%.
that's the thing with Instagram is you want to post good content for your followers because to them it's, okay, I'm inviting this guy into my personal space, which is the feed, right? And as soon as you kind of break down that barrier for the person who wants to watch you on a day-to-day basis and pop up on the timeline, you develop a little bit more of an intimate relationship with your follower, I find.
100%. I think it's tough because TikTok is so much easier to grow, but it's also harder to keep the community. Yeah, exactly.
I find it's easy come, easy go
Yeah.
with TikTok. Yes, it's easy to gain, but it's easy for there to be nothing there at the same time. Like I guarantee you that chick who posted the strawberry video, great. She was popular for a week.
Yeah. I mean, bro, for example, we don't know her name. We're saying the chick who posted the exactly.
As far as I'm concerned, chocolate or strawberries with chocolate syrup blew up on it. I don't know who the person is. I got no connection to them, but yet they've got themselves hundreds of thousands of followers, which okay, that looks good on paper.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do with it now?
Yeah, but you know who you follow on Instagram.
Yes.
A lot of people, they don't even know. Like I see so many people on TikTok, like they follow like 1,500 people. It's like you don't know.
You can't keep up with that many people. I find you see a video, you like it, okay, let me hit follow next. Whereas on Instagram, it's, oh, this is funny. I feel like you gotta see a lot of videos from one person before you decide. I feel like a follow on Instagram is an investment.
Yeah.
It's an investment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I wanted to
hold on, before you get to that.
Yeah.
I'd love to take a piss. I gotta piss like a racehorse right now.
Yeah.
Can we do that?
Yeah. We are back again. Sorry, we had to use the washroom. It was the Heineken's.
Couple of racehorses sitting behind the microphones here.
I was you were talking about how you looked in the camera. I'm wondering, you think I can make a flow work? Get the lettuce going?
No.
Yeah, me either.
No.
I don't think so.
I'm gonna be honest. No, I don't think so.
Not even like the mullet look that's kind of in right now.
I think it depends how you do it. I like the short hair on you though.
Yeah, I agree.
I think even my hair is getting a little bit wild. Like, dude, I cut it, but my hair is just so thick and long. Like, it's hard to call it flow because my hair grows out.
Yeah.
It doesn't flow.
I'm the same. My hair goes up. It doesn't go down.
Like my hair could be this long and it'll somehow find a way to just stand on its fucking head.
Yeah.
So you need a certain type of hair to have flow. I'm trying to make it work, but it's like I got the wings coming out. I guess that's the one good thing.
If you strained it, how long do you think it'd be?
Right now, probably not that long. But when I was younger, my mom, she would always have my hair like down to my shoulders.
Yeah.
She always liked me having really long hair. Yeah.
Why? Just
I don't know. She just
save money, no haircuts.
Yeah, I mean, immigrant parents. I guess it's tough growing up. But I don't know. I think she just liked what the long hair look was, and
yeah.
that was that. I guess. Yeah. I mean, I'd love to see you with like a mullet though. I think it'd be interesting. I don't know if it would look good, but I think it'd be interesting.
I might try it for like a summer. See
Yeah,
how
dude,
it is.
fuck yeah. Who cares? I mean, it'd take you like a year to grow it out because I remember I had hair.
Me a while.
I had hair that short, and I think it took me a year and change for me to really grow out like hair to the point where I could cut it into like a shorter kind of mullet.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's with my hair that grows fast.
Yeah. We'll see. I'll see what I can do. You said you speak 3 languages.
I do.
How so your Hungarian is like fluent?
I can keep a conversation.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's like fluent, but it's pretty good.
Yeah. That's like me in Arabic. Okay. Have you been to Hungary?
I have. I was there twice. Once when I was younger. I don't remember jack shit. Second time, I was, I think 10. I remember a little bit more. I was there for 2 months. My Hungarian was pitch perfect.
Yeah.
But obviously you come back to Canada, you don't use it.
You lose it.
And you lose it. Right?
Yeah.
That's kind of how it is.
How did you like it there?
It was different, I was obviously younger, so it was, I guess I saw the world differently. All I had was my iPad, and I wasn't on that often. I was going out. I was living like a kid who was from Hungary. You know, it wasn't like a first world country where you would always be on technology and everything was easy access. You know, there would be a lot of unpaved roads, a lot of kids who would just, wake up, take a shower, have their meal, go out and play all day. You know, that's pretty much what it was. I really liked it. I think if I would go back there now, I think I would enjoy it even more than I did when I was younger. Obviously, because I'm older now, I can do a little bit more stuff. I was also told by a lot of people in my family, especially my dad's girlfriend, she says with the accent that I have when I speak Hungarian, the chicks would just be falling head over heels
Oh
for me because
yeah.
apparently that's a big thing.
So they like it
is
when
the
you don't
accent.
sound like you're from Hungary.
Yeah, well, it's also, you pull out the Canada card and it's just like, oh my God.
Pull out the visa and they want to come over.
Exactly. I mean, I can give you a green card, sweetheart, but only for a night though. You know what I mean? Let's not get ahead of ourselves here.
That's dope. Do you think you could, like, do you always want to live in Toronto or do you see yourself like traveling?
No, I hate Canada, man.
Yeah.
With what it's turned into since COVID, I want to get out of here. Especially Toronto. I find a really good getaway for me is when I go out west to Alberta. I have a lot of friends out there. I make a lot of content trips out there. When I'm in the mountains, I could sit there forever and just stare at the same thing over and over again. It's so nice. Yeah, I find in the city we get really claustrophobic. It's a very fast moving world. It's quick pace. It's go, go, go. It's like, third period, game's tied 2-2. You got 5 minutes left. It's go, go, go. Whereas you head out there and it's a completely different ball game. I find everything slows down. I find even the people out there are a lot nicer. I was out in a club in Toronto recently, got my keys stolen. All the chicks were just makeup head to toe. They were all looking for the richest guy in there, trying to get in the booth. They weren't having a good time, but they were just, they were clout bunnies. They were status chasers. They were just trying to associate themselves with the right people. Whereas when you go out there, it's everyone just wants to have a good fucking time. The chicks don't care what you look like. If you're a good time, you're a good time, and that's all that comes down to. And I think that's what it should be when you go out. I don't think you should go out for, oh, let me find the richest dude. Let me find the best looking chick. Let's just go out there and what happens, happens. You know?
I feel like it's even more so in like other countries like Europe, Asia. Like it's not here. It's so focused on money and like living to work, whereas like over everywhere else, it's like you're working to live. Like you're just working to make ends meet so that you can enjoy your life. Whereas here, it's like your life has to be work, which I hate.
Make a life, not a living.
Exactly. That's why for me personally, as soon as I make enough money, I'm out of here.
Yeah,
like,
dude, legit.
I was talking to my buddy about it today on the phone. I was like, man, if someone just dropped like $10 million in my lap and said like, spend it however you want.
Where's the first place you're going? Back home?
Nah, like it's tough. I've always lived in Canada. I've always thought I was going to spend the rest of my life in Canada, but everything here is just so messed up now. Like taxes and all this, it's just so wild. The cost of living is through the roof.
Yeah.
Like, well, if I had 10 million, bro, I'd probably like move to Texas, buy some fat piece of land. Like all I want, my dream in life is not like, I don't care about being famous. I don't care about being a multi-millionaire. I just want to have like enough money where I have like a big piece of land, backyard for the kids to run around, dog to run around, like, and just everyone leave me alone and let me just enjoy life. I don't, not like off the grid, but not in the city.
Yes, I agree. I am on the same page. I would not enjoy living in the city. I find there's no getaway here. You like, even when I go for walks in the park, I find it's still not getting away from all the madness.
Feels artificial.
Exactly. I used to live out east, Ajax area. I was right by the lake, South Ajax, and it was beautiful. Everything was slow. It was it was an older neighborhood. I found when I was stressed, I would just go for a walk right by the lake. It was beautiful. Here, I go out for a walk. It's not the same. I find I'm just walking in the shit I wanted to get out of.
I didn't know you lived in Ajax. I'm from Ajax.
I know. We had this conversation.
We did. Wait, when?
We did over DM, I think.
Where in Ajax though?
South Ajax.
South
Ajax.
Like what intersection?
I was. Oh, what is it, dude? It's been so long since I've been there. Shit. I was, where Rotary Park is?
Okay, yeah.
I was down there in that area.
Oh, that's a beautiful area.
Yeah. Obviously, financial constrictions over the course of the years happen, and we had to downsize a little bit into a spot here in Toronto. But I loved it out there. I spent a lot of my childhood growing up there as well. Divorced parents, so a lot of suitcases going back and forth. But I loved it out there. I found I could really just I wouldn't say be myself, but just a different version of me would come out. A lot more relaxed version of myself would come out.
Yeah, I mean, even now, like, I love Ajax. Like, so my family still lives there. I'm living downtown, but
Yeah.
I go back whenever I can. And like my girlfriend and I, we're starting to have the conversation of like getting our own place, like not living in Toronto. And like, I love Durham region, man. People can talk their shit, whatever. That's fine. I love Ajax.
Dude, it's as you said, it's a great spot to be. I even think anywhere Ajax would be that sort of demographic. I think it is what you make of it, right?
What's the what's the dream? What's the whether it be social media, life, like where are you hoping to get to?
Honestly, I'm 20, so that's a tough question. I find a lot of the times I don't really know, but I just kind of I go with the flow. There's been a lot of deja vu moments throughout this journey where like I've literally had dreams and I lived through those dreams in reality. Like I've had a moment like, holy shit, like I've lived, like this has happened to me before. Like I'm supposed to be right where I am. I don't know. I would say biggest thing for me is just make content that's fulfilling, that's happy, that puts a smile on my face, puts a smile on someone else's face. I'm able to obviously, keep a good lifestyle for myself. Just happy, just have all my needs taken care of. I find what my end goal is, what I really want is to be rich in things that money can't buy you. I want to have a good family. I want to have a great relationship with a loved one, with kids. I want to have a dog similar to what you had, a nice big house, good people around me. Not too many.
No, not
good
too
people
many.
around me. All my neighbors love me. I love them. We have these cookouts, these barbecues, I just, as I said, I want to be wealthy in things that money can't buy. I think that's really the end goal. And I think how I get there is going to be the journey, is going to be the process. But I think that all is going to work out exactly how it's supposed to be. And, hopefully we can run back episode 2 of me coming on here.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It's a different conversation that we're having.
Yeah. We got to do it again 100%.
Yeah, this was a blast.
Yeah, that's good to hear, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. If you want to shout out anything, all your socials, all your whatever, do your thing.
If there's any pretty Middle Eastern ladies, you can find me on Instagram.
I got you.
Not Erik Nagy.
Maybe some cousins of mine. I'll send them your way.
Exactly. A couple cousins. If they're not blonde, we can get some hair dye shoppers. Not a big deal. We can figure that out. But in all seriousness, check out my socials at Not Erik Nagy if you want to have a good time. Stay for a long time as well. Honestly, pleasure doing this. I got some merch coming out soon. Check it out at Nags Canada on Instagram. I don't know. Is there anything else that I want to plug? That's pretty much it. Just Jesse, thank you very much for having me on, my friend.
You got to swing me some of that merch.
Absolutely, dude. What size are you?
Like a large.
Okay.
I'll do a large. I like a little baggier.
Well, if you have a couple of these, it might be an XL. So
we'll
see. We'll see. But hey, Jesse, it was a pleasure. I'm excited to see what content you come up with in the future.
Thank you, man.
I'm excited to. Can I tease this a little bit?
Yeah, you can tease, because if someone has listened all the way to the end, you can tease it.
Okay, so to the viewers who are still here at the end, a little bit of a collab coming out between the two of us
Big
soon.
collab.
I'm not going to drop the character, but it's been a highly requested character.
People have been wanting to see this guy for a while, and he might be in the room with us.
Exactly.
Is all I'm gonna say.
We're going to leave it at that, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for tuning in. Jesse, I'll let you close out the show, my friend.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you for listening to the Listen podcast, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
See ya.